For joining us today. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Ma'am Carmina, to all the televiewers. Good afternoon.
All right, so let's get down to the Comelec resolutions. Aside from the Omnibus Election Code, you have resolutions 10772, 11109, which states that donations from domestic corporations to any political party or candidate is considered reasonable if it does not exceed 5% of the corporation's taxable income on the taxable year immediately preceding the election. That's very clear. The question is, Comelec Chairman, how is this being circumvented by those who are running for office?
The most recent controversy involving supposed contractors contributing funds to the coffers of candidates, well, that is really illegal because under section, I will not use that our resolution. What I will just use, Ma'am Carmina, is section 95 of the Omnibus Election Code, section C, which prohibits any natural or juridical entity from contributing to a candidate or political party which juridical or natural entity has contracts with government, whether service or public works. Very clear under the provision of section 95, paragraph C. And therefore, that was really the basis of the resolution of the Commissioner Elections. You see, section 95 are those who are prohibited from making contributions. As far as corporations are concerned, they are allowed to make contributions, provided that you have read it's not more than 5% of their taxable income. But as far as those with contracts with the government, whether service or public works, they are absolutely prohibited from making donations or contributions to candidates.
Well, you heard the soundbite. There was an admission coming from Senate President Cheese Escudero himself about the donation made by this contractor. What is his exposure there, Chairman? And what does he have to prove now to sort of tell the public that he did nothing wrong? But on the onset, face value, Chairman, did the Senate President commit something illegal?
Well, Carmina, I will not easily jump into conclusions simply because I might be inhibited. Definitely a case or cases may be filed against those who received such kind of contributions or donations to the Commissioner Elections, and therefore we have to really determine the culpability if there is any. But we have to likewise make a distinction. When I say that it's juridical entity or a natural entity that is prohibited from contributing, the point is who is culpable, who is liable. Under section 95, it would appear to be the contributor, the donor, the one who gave the money. As to whether it has the same effect as to the culpability of the candidate, that I will reserve in the meantime, because that may be the crux of the controversy later. But take note that section 95 has a title, Prohibited Contributions. And therefore, the entity being mentioned there is the company that has the contract with the government, whether service or public works. And number two, what if the person who made the contribution in his personal capacity? This is not an absolution or whatever who is culpable, but what I'm saying is there are several ways of attacking this issue, and therefore we will be making our own internal investigation. We will be making our own motu proprio investigation based on certain admissions and based on the records that we have right now. We're going to likewise look into the records from the Securities and Exchange Commission or even from the Department of Public Works and Highways.
Are you going to look into that motu proprio, or do you have to have a case before you to look into it?
The submission of SOSE, including the inquiry as to the contents of the SOSE, can be done motu proprio by the Commissioner Election. There is no need for anybody to file a case before the Comelec, although indeed it will greatly help us in the Commission if somebody will be offering documents or evidence, but the SOSE is evidence by itself. And therefore, we have filed almost 400 cases before in the past, in 2022, involving overspending or non-reporting of expenditures. And it was as a result only of motu proprio investigations. Therefore, because of this new controversy, we're going to look again and determine if there are indeed candidates who received contributions coming from corporations or companies prohibited from making as such. For our viewers and for the public, take note that for the 2025 election, for the first time, Ma'am Carmina, we made public all sources of candidates. So it will help us a lot if it will assist the Comelec, if maybe they can browse into the submissions and determine if indeed help the commission, maybe they will know who is these individuals, because we do not really know who are contractors, who are the owners of certain public works contracts or companies. But it will greatly help us. However, we have the means to determine who are these personalities because we can just coordinate with other agencies.
Clearly, though, was there conflict of interest? Because you stated a while ago that this is primarily on the part of the contributor. But on the part of the candidate, no matter the distinction, whether or not this is done through a personal capacity or as part of a corporation, on the part of the candidate, shouldn't the candidate have been more circumspect? Because this might just be conflict of interest, Chairman.
On the assumption, Ma'am Carmina, that the contributor made illegal contribution, and in fact, the contributor is prohibited from making contribution, we have to determine from the point of law as to whether accepting from an unlawful contribution coming from an entity not lawfully allowed to make contribution will make likewise liable the receiver of the contribution. That is what we are going to determine, simply because the section that I cited specifically points to the contributor solely. As to whether acceptance thereof is likewise illegal and will make criminal the acceptance, that is a very good case altogether.
Chairman, you're a virtual insider, not just as a Comelec chairman, but even before, in your past life, as an election lawyer as well. These resolutions and the Omnibus Election Code as well, how long has this been circumvented by those who want to get ahead in terms of contracts and supplies and anything that they want to get out of this government, Chairman?
So many times during my past professional life. But, Ma'am Carmina, you see, controversies like this are so important to us simply because, try to imagine, who could have realized that there is a Section 95 letter C of the Omnibus Election Code? The Omnibus Election Code, Ma'am Carmina, is circa 1985. And not many of our kababayans will know the provision of what are election offenses, what are prohibited campaigning, what are prohibited donations, what are prohibited acceptance of donations. So perhaps shedding into light all of these developments will practically make the people aware. Okay, these companies, these corporations are indeed prohibited from making contributions. Number two, we can even look into the contracts that they entered into with the government. What is the very nature of the contract? Does this contract really will affect the decision-making capacity of the one receiving the contribution? Simply because that was the very reason why the provision was even included in the Omnibus Election Code, so that it will not be used to interfere and to intervene in the decision-making processes in the government by elected public officials.
Yung binanggit ko po kanina, it is considered reasonable if it does not exceed 5% of the corporation's taxable income on the taxable year immediately preceding the elections. There lies a loophole as well, because you can't just look at one candidate and one transaction. Maari ho bang gawin na itong 5% na ito ay paghati-hatiin sa iilang kandidato? Pera yan. But make no mistake about it, that's influence as well, Chairman.
And number two, that is on the assumption that the taxpayer will be making an honest reporting of the taxable income. Aminin na natin, Ma'am Carmina, that naka-base yun dun yung 5%. Ito yung sabi ng taxable income. Yung ba talaga? Take note, Ma'am Carmina, ang sinabi ng aming resolution, taxable income. I'm not lawyering for the candidates, but take note, sabi taxable income of the corporation. Paano kung na-share, na-distribute na yung income sa mga shareholders, sa mga owners? So hindi na siya taxable income ng corporation. That's already income of the person, of the owner, or even the director or the board of director of the company. So therefore, can the board of director, the president of the company, not donate the income that he earned from investing in that particular business. So palagay ko po, yan yung mga magbo-border. Yan yung mga loopholes, Ma'am Carmina, as to whether what is mentioned in the law is really not only the income of the corporation, but the income as distributed already to the owners of the corporation, simply because that may be the fruit of a poison tree. Pwede nilang i-relate kasi na ganon.
I hear you. And you said it yourself. There lies the loophole. What are you going to do now as chairman of the Comelec to plug that hole? Are you going to issue another resolution?
Ma'am, no. Ma'am Corina, no. We will not issue the resolution. We can always interpret the resolution to the best interest of the people. You see, violations of election law should never be, should always be condoned, cannot be condoned by the commission. Hindi pwedeng patawarin natin yung mga ganyan and therefore, kung na-file na namin ang kaso before yung mga nag-violate, then we will not hesitate. Ang sa amin lang po, at least na-shed na into light yung mga ganitong klase na controversy. We will look into this. And madami nang humingi sa amin ngayon, Ma'am Carmina, ng SOSE. Again, it's in our website, kung hindi pa alam ng iba. But at the same time, we're also accepting those who are asking for copies. Tama po yan. We have to demand. We have to look. Yun po yung sinasabi natin. That is the importance of a SOSE. And therefore, as to the culpability and liability, kami po ang bahala doon. Ipagkatiwala niyo po sa amin. But the public, the people must also assist us and contribute not only to the discussion, but to an action that may lead to prosecution of these individuals or corporations.
One final question for you, Chairman Garcia. What if the candidate himself is the contractor?
Well, let us determine. From the point of view of a lawyer, contractor, corporation, sole corporation, meaning siya lang ba ang may-ari? O kalimitan, ma'am, kasi ako as a lawyer, alam ko, para ma-hide kasi minsan yung pag-aari, 1% lang ang pag-aari ng isang tao eh. So does it really matter na 1% siya at hindi siyang controlling interest doon sa corporation? Kung 1% siya, wala siyang decision-making and therefore that can be made as a defense likewise of a contractor who happens to be likewise a candidate. Pwede niya sabihin niyo kasi 1% lang naman siya. O kaya sabihin niya, katulad ng binanggit niyo kanina, may divestment already. So these are completely different picture altogether. But very important, I expect that the Comelec will be making motu proprio investigation in the coming days.
Well, so far, what we have been talking about is what can be done after the fact. But you and I both know, and as you mentioned a while ago, this has been circumvented many times in the past. You saw this yourself, Chairman. So what needs to happen to protect our electoral system from all those who who want to secure contracts, who are running for office, just so that they can further either their own political or business interests at hindi po mamamayan ang nasa isip, kundi kung paano kumita at pagkakitaan ang gobyerno?
Ma'am Carmina, I had always been an active, there is always an active call from the Commission on Election. Sana naman po pakiusap na namin. Let us amend, revise, modify the Omnibus Election Code. 1985 pa po yun. Yung mga public works noon, yung mga simple pa lang noon eh. Complicated na nga noon, yung vote buying noon, iba na yung vote buying ngayon. We're hoping that we will be able to amend, revise the Omnibus Election Code so that yung mga modern problems na ganito, realities, mahahandle na natin. The Comelec can only do as much. We will be very incompetent if we're going to apply still the old, very antiquated laws as against the new realities. Yung antiquated laws nga, napakadaming loopholes. How can we even prosecute? We will have probable cause. After probable cause, we will be filing cases. The courts will dismiss because of certain loopholes. So what can we do? Ang expectation ng tao, the Comelec should be able to jail somebody. But however, we are using old laws na napakadaming buta. So yan po ma'am siguro, first thing first. But however, despite the antiquated laws, we will proceed with our mandate because that is what the people expected of us.
Revise the Omnibus Election Code. I mean, we have been talking this for as long as I have known you, but still it remains to be a pipe dream. Do you think that these lawmakers will actually touch it with a 10-foot pole, given that this will end their political survival?
We in the 19th Congress, we submitted a 963 pages revised omnibus election code, which will practically modernize our election laws, including problems like this being solved. We were going to refile the same to the 20th Congress. We're hoping that somebody will sponsor that piece of legislation so that at least we can be proud of saying that we have new election code. Try to imagine the Bangsamoro, they have the new electoral code containing political dynasty, anti-political dynasty provision. We have a new law on SK reform, only for Sangguniang Kabataan, providing for anti-political dynasty. But unfortunately, we have no new omnibus election code.
All right, we're going to have to leave it at that. Until the next time then, Comelec Chairman George Garcia there joining us this noon. Maraming salamat po, Chairman.
Maraming salamat.